and welcome to episode 2 of Get Set Crochet. If you've seen the first episode, you'll know by now how to make a series of chain. In this episode we're going to learn to make 2 basic stitches, the double crochet, which is called single crochet in America, and the treble, which is called double crochet in America. For the purposes of this video, we're going to use UK terms, so we'll be talking about a double crochet and a treble. At the end of the last episode, we'd learned how to make a series of chain stitches, and you need to make yourself a little row of chain stitches in order to follow the stitches on this episode. The first stitch we're going to look at is the double crochet, and the double crochet is a short fat stitch that's used for things that have a lot of substance, possibly things that you need to stand up, a lot of structure. It's the basic stitch in crochet, and we're going to make it working into the chain stitches. And the first thing we're going to do is to find the front of the chain, and the front of the chain are the smooth V's. So you want the front of the chain pointing towards yourself. We're going to not go into the first stitch, which is the stitch underneath the loop on your hook. We're going to go into the second stitch, and we're going to go straight in with the point of the hook. Through the middle of the stitch, front to back, come up underneath the wool, catch the wool with your hook and bring it back just through that stitch that you've gone to. You've now got 2 stitches on your hook. This is why it's called a double crochet, because you have 2 stitches. You're going to put the wool around the hook and put it back through the 2 stitches, and that's the first double crochet complete. The reason that we left 1 chain at the beginning is to get us up to the height of the row. The double crochet is the height of 1 chain, so the 1 chain that we've left at the beginning of the row lifts us up to the correct height. So straight into the next stitch, no leaving 1 chain this time, straight into the next stitch with the point of the hook, work it against your finger, pop it through, you come up underneath the working yarn, catch it, bring it back just through the loop that you've gone through. You have 2 loops on the hook, wool around and back through the 2, and we're going to work our way along the chain row, putting the hook through the middle of that V, catching the wool, bringing it back, wool round, pull through the 2, work along the row until you reach the knot at the other end. You've now completed your first row of double crochets. We're going to do 1 chain stitch, which lifts you up to the height of the next row, and you'll notice that your stitches you've just completed are now to the right. If you're right-handed, you always crochet from right to left. Your crochet is now in the wrong place for you to continue the next row, and what you have to do is turn the crochet onto the back, and this row is worked in the back of the stitches on the previous row. Your 1 chain absorbs the turn, and your first stitch goes in the base of that chain underneath the V at the beginning of the row. There's a little hole, and you pop your hook through, and again come up underneath the working yarn, pull it back, 2 loops on, wool round, pull through the 2. Look for the V on the top, look for the hole underneath the V, and the hook will pop into the hole quite easily underneath both parts of the V. Under the working yarn, bring it back, wool round, pull through 2. continue along to the end of the row, working into each of the holes underneath each of the stitches. And again at the end of the row, when you've worked your last stitch, chain one, turn your work, and you're ready to start on the front of your work into the first hole, working your way along the row. And by the time you've done 3 or 4 rows, you'll feel confident in working the double crochet, and you're ready to start thinking about the next stitch we're going to learn, which is a treble crochet. Stitch we're going to learn is the treble. In America this is referred to as the double crochet. In the UK it's referred to as a treble crochet. Treble crochet is a tall, more open stitch often used in garments and blankets, and a treble crochet is 3 chains high. So we're going to begin our row by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. We're then going to turn the work and we're going to work into the top of the stitches from the previous row. Unlike the double crochet, where the first stitch was worked immediately in the base of the chain, these chain are going to count as a stitch. When we're counting stitches, the 3 turning chain count as a stitch. We're going to miss that hole because those chain count as the stitch that comes out of that hole, and we're going to work directly into the second hole, which is that one under the second V. And this time we're going to put the wool around the hook before we go through the hole. Grab the wool, grab the working yarn as you did last time, bring it back. You've now got 3 loops on your hook, which is why it's called a treble. Wool around, pull through 2 of 3, and you'll find it pops through the 2 quite easily. Wool around and pull through the next 2 parts of the stitch. You've completed your first treble stitch. Remember that those 3 chain count as the treble, and we're working immediately into the next stitch. Wool around the hook, into the hole, grab the yarn, bring it back, wool around, pull through 2, wool around, pull through 2, and we're going to work our way along the row. Wool around before you go through the hole, remember, through the hole, up under the working yarn, grab it, bring it back, wool around your hook, pull through 2 stitches, wool around your hook, pull through 2 stitches, and we're going to continue until the very last stitch of the row. When you reach the end of the row, we're going to chain 3 to start the next row, turn our work, and again remember the very first stitch is not worked into the first hole. Those 3 chain count as the first stitch. The next stitch is worked into the following hole. Wool around, into the hole, grab it, bring it back, wool around, pull through 2, wool around, pull through 2. That's the only hole that you miss on this stitch. 1 stitch into every other hole right along the row until you get to the very end. And at the very end of the row, because this is your second row, the 3 chain that you initially started with, which I said counted as a stitch, now have to be worked into. So you look at your chain and you count 1, 2, 3, and the top chain, the third chain that you made, is where you're going to work into, and this converts those 3 chain into a treble stitch. And you'll see when I've worked it that it pulls the chain up and gives a nice straight edge on the work. And there you have your first 2 rows of trebles. When reading a pattern, you'll find a chain stitch abbreviated to a C and an H. It will be preceded by a number which will tell you how many chain stitches to make. A double crochet will be abbreviated to a D and a C. A treble crochet will be abbreviated to a T and an R. In a chart, a chain stitch will look like that. A double crochet will look like a cross, and a treble will look like a tall letter T with a cross across the centre. If you've enjoyed that episode and you've learnt something today, please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you.